It's President's Day, and today I decided to do a special edition of 50 Plus because I've been around for a while, but I thought I'd talk about the presidential elections history and me, James Lott Jr. Welcome to the show. Um, so, my first earliest recollection of a president would be Jimmy Carter. I remember the gas shortage, and we were like, I think we were even days or odd days to get gas. We had a Dodge Aspen station wagon. We were having to be in line with my parents to get gas on certain days. And I just remember seeing him and Amy Carter on TV, his daughter, and that's just the earliest one. I was a kid, so it was like so I was school age. That was the earliest I remember of a president. The first time I remember an election was Ronald Reagan, 81, 80, 81. I remember being in sixth grade, going into I would have been going into junior high. Our school decided to go to eighth grade. So, but I remember my teacher, Miss Munson. Hi, Miss Munson, wherever you are. I hope you're okay. I had such a crush on her. That was another story. Um, Talking about the elections, and that's when I learned about independence for the first time. And John Anderson was running as an independent. But I remember Reagan and that whole thing. I couldn't vote yet. I was only 12, 11, 12 years old. But I remember all that. The first election that I was able to vote in was for George W. No, just no for George Senior. So for George Senior in the late '80s, and that was the first one. I was 18. I think I was 19 when I was able to first vote in. And I remember I was living in Sacramento. I also got to vote in the local elections there too, registering to vote. I had to register for the draft. Remember that at 18? That was scary. Register to vote. We had the Cold War back then. Register to vote. And I remember going into my first voting place. It was somebody's garage. And going to a little booth, little setup booths, and going in and actually voting. And it was fun. I was like, this is a trip. Because you'd always heard about it. And I had heard from my ancestors how important it was. I knew all that history by then, how important it was for us to vote and how we fought to vote. And I've always kept that same feeling that, some of my ancestors died so we could vote. So it's very important. And I will always stand by that. And that's when I began to look at local elections also, just a little bit. I wasn't into it yet, but I was looking at local elections. But mainly it was the big ones. And then by the time we got to Clinton, I was already in my 20s and lived some life. I was a protester, an activist in my city. Again, by then I was leaving Sacramento and going to San Francisco, where activism was very, very huge there. And again, not just presidential, but it was all the local elections. My father worked in politics. James Sr. worked in politics for Senator Watson for years through the '80s into the '90s. So I had a little taste of that too. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, seeing some of the stuff there too. But I was all about back then trying to save the planet, gay and lesbian rights, women's rights, people of color rights. I mean, everything. I was all about everything. Just like children's rights, everything. I was like, we gotta go out there and make sure you elect the right people. That's when I really started to look at measures and ballots and things like that. Those next couple elections, even up and through to Obama, my roommates and I would always sit down and go through all the ballots, go through the measures, talk about everything, talk about the president. We'd have open discussions about how he felt and why we should vote for this person or not that person. It was very cool. We did it all the time, and it was very cool. So I really wanted to be informed when I went to poll. And again, we go to places and go poll and that whole thing. It was just very important. When Obama got elected, I'll tell you, and as I'm recording this, it's also Black History Month. I remember I was in North Dakota running an agribusiness conference. And I was the only Black person there. I was in Bismarck, North Dakota. Even from my colleagues, even from the guests that came, the people who came to the conference, I was the only Black person. And I remember I couldn't believe in my lifetime I'd see a Black president. Just never thought it would happen. Just never thought. So it was exciting to see. I voted for him. I didn't think he was going to win. I didn't think he could win at first. I was like, this is going to be interesting. But he did. I thought we'd see a woman president before we saw a black president. Obviously, I was wrong. But I was like, wow. It just having him elected, whether your politics fall whatever side, I just thought in my years of life, I would have not seen that. And it was just exciting to know that we did have a chance. The door was open. But there is a chance for someone other than what we usually see to become president. And that part that was exciting. It was hopeful. It was like, okay, if you have a good message and you're really willing and you're here to help, and maybe it doesn't matter who you are. And we've seen that later in other later elections, who all's running from Asian, Hispanic, Black, white, women, men. I say it's great. This is great. We're seeing all kinds of people run. So that's representative of our country. But I started to really, as I got into my 40s and now my 50s, it's really important to me um, to vote and not get jaded, because I could get jaded and just go, well, no, nothing really matters, and just who cares? I just still feel like you still have to, and I still carry I had ancestors who died and who got killed and were lynched and were trying to be stopped. And I see it happening again in America. I'm not super political, of course. I don't really do a lot of politics on my page, but because this is President's Day, just for this purpose, I'm more of an independent, actually. I'm not. I don't really care for the two-party system, which was more. Um, but I understand how things are set up, and so it's very interesting for me to watch our world nowadays, where we've lost nuance. There's no nuance anymore. It's either you're this or that, or people want to hear about politics, or they don't want to hear about politics at all. They look for you for certain. It's like it's very everything's super one way or the other, which is a shame. It should be more than that. It should be. I mean, we all should be able to talk and share ideas and I know, but I also that one day, maybe I want a utopian society. I don't know. But as I sit here on President's Day, I hope, my wish is that we continue to have a democracy. We continue to have free thought and free speech. There are things we really need to work on in our country that are so important, like homelessness and mental health and things like that. I want those taken care of above anything else. And whoever can get us there, please get us there. Um, and also healthcare, also aging, because I'm in this now, my 50 plus. These are things I have to think about: aging, retirement, social security, all that stuff. That changes as you get older, and that influences who you vote for, who you listen to. And I'm still very involved in the local elections and what's going on locally. Very important. But I just wanted to share today, as we're celebrating President's Day, this President's Day, um, that who we choose as president is who we choose as president. I'm James Lott Jr., and I will talk to you on another President's Day, I'm sure, in the future. Bye.